That's how it's done. That, my friend, is what you call an hour of television. This was amazing. This was part 13 of Twin Peaks: The Return, Twin Peaks 2017, called What Story Is That, Charlie? This was written by Mark Frost and David Lynch, and of course directed by David Lynch. I'm all here by my lonesome today. Hal is busy, unfortunately, but I know he's here in spirit. And yeah, just finished the episode. This was incredible. I think this was great. Probably a lot of people out there are going to tell me it was terrible, but I thought it was fantastic. This is everything worked. Last week, after initially seeing the episode, I felt like 40 minutes out of the whatever it was, 55 minutes completely worked, and the last 15 minutes kind of crashed. On subsequent screenings, I felt that the last 15 minutes got better, but you know, that initial screening definitely it called attention to itself, those last 15 minutes. This, I felt like everything was perfect. Even the scenes that were more drawn out, I felt like there was a real point to it, and if it was just character based, it felt very natural. It felt very like even if it didn't have anything to do with the plot, it was still interesting because they were dealing with characters that we remember from the original series. So we have a lot of investment there. So I just thought it was wonderful. I honestly think this was a perfect hour of television. But let's get into some details here. Again, this is just an initial watch, so I don't have, you know, everything that Reddit's going to have, but we can start the discussion here. And then we can move on to the watch-alongs and the Twin Peaks thought of the day videos as the week goes on. But, okay, so the episode began with the Rancho Rosa logo, of course. Tonight, it was black and white and green and red. So I don't know, like, obviously what... the meanings behind all these colors, but I always throw them out there just in case there is someone keeping track as to what the colors are, because maybe there will be some sort of grand design of it all. We begin at Dougie's work, obviously at Lucky 7 Insurance, and right away, you know, you're in David Lynch land when the Mitchum brothers and Dougie and Candy and Mandy and Sandy are doing their like a little dance through the hallways. It's just like, oh my goodness, Lynch, of course you're going to begin the episode like this. And it was totally awesome. Totally worked. I mean, obviously you'd be dancing too if you got $30 million. So I thought it was wonderful. I mean, is it over the top? Sure. But it was, listen, we saw so much more over the top in The Wolf of Wall Street, right? I mean, I'm fine with this. So yeah, so Dougie and Mitchum brothers, and like I said, the three girls are kind of dancing, and of course Tom Sizemore, Anthony, his character is like scared to death, right? He's hiding under the desk. He's like, oh my goodness, because he knows, oh my goodness, the Mitchum brothers didn't take care of Dougie, so that means I'm gonna have to do it, and I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna have to do it, or Mr. Todd is gonna come after me. So, you know, I love Tom Sizemore as an actor. In this episode, he took it to the next level, and he's always been a great actor, but everything I thought was going to happen with this character, of course, it didn't happen with this character. It was something entirely different. But in that difference, it was spectacular. It wasn't just like being different to be different. It was different and then spectacular being different. And I thought that he just nailed his part. Just 1 minute he's a weasel, the next minute you're just completely empathetic to him and you feel sorry for him, and you want the best for him, even though just 10 minutes before you were like hating him. It was amazing. Great performance. So yeah, the Mitchum brothers show up in Bushnell Mullen's office, and they give him a bunch of presents, and one of those presents is, of course, the keys to a brand new car, which they've also said they're going to give Dougie, or they already gave Dougie a brand new car. So it's like, oh my goodness, right? You help the Mitchum brothers out, they pay you back tenfold. Love it. And obviously Robert Knepper and James Belushi, I mean, they're fantastic. I like them in their first initial scenes, but now how their characters have transitioned into being in Dougie and Bushnell's court. Yeah, I love these characters. Absolutely love them. I was scared to death before the series began that they were just going to be like Mr. Eddie clones from like Lost Highway. I'm so glad they're not that. They're amazing. So yeah, so Anthony, Tom Sizemore character, calls Mr. Todd, who's the guy, the guy from Winkies and Mulholland Drive. And Mr. Todd says, "You have one day to take out Dougie," which obviously makes Sizemore like really super nervous because he's not a killer, but he's going to have to do this because what could happen to him is probably worse. So that's where we leave off from there. Then we go to Dougie's house, and lo and behold, just what we thought was going to happen happened. The gym set came. Only I don't think any of us imagined a gym set like this, where it's playing music from Swan Lake. There's like a spotlight and Sunny Jim. It looks like a circus out there. It was absolutely fantastic. Janie, of course, so happy because obviously Sunny Jim is super excited, but also the fact that, she has a brand new car here. She knows Dougie's not going to drive, so she's going to get the car. So she is absolutely amazing and fantastic. And she's so super happy. And she's like, "Oh, Dougie, I love you so much." And of course, what wife wouldn't be, what spouse wouldn't be incredibly happy and ecstatic if all this just riches were just being bestowed upon him? They got $400,000, a new gym set, and a brand new car. That's amazing. Yeah, she says, "I love you so much," and it is so cute when Dougie says, it was adorable, absolutely beautiful. And I love the music from Swan Lake and Dougie on the gym set. Sorry, this episode, this podcast tonight is just going to be nothing but praise. So that just letting you know that's where I'm going to be coming from. Okay, so then we go to Western Montana. And the doppelganger is driving the truck, and he's not in Twin Peaks. He's not in Sarah Palmer's kitchen. He's not wrecking havoc in the town. So that's why the girl's throwing up in the car a couple episodes ago. Yeah, he pulls into the garage of, I guess this is the farm, right? And he's looking for Ray. And there's a boss there who's played by Derek Mears. And if you don't know who Derek Mears is, he played Jason in the reboot, the 2009 Friday the 13th reboot. So I thought it was great to have Ray, the doppelganger, saying, "I want Ray." And Derek Mears is like, "Well, if you want Ray, you're going to have to beat me in an arm wrestling match." And everyone's like saying, if you win, you're going to be the boss. And he's like, "I don't want to be the boss. I just want that guy. I just want Ray. Give him to me." And I believe the guy who played Muddy, am I wrong to think, because I haven't looked on IMDb, is he the same guy from Wild at Heart who's just like, I think he's in Big Tuna, Texas, when the Sailor and Lula are sitting around the table. I'm pretty sure it's him. I could be wrong, but obviously, arm wrestling scene, a doppelganger, big guy, obviously stuntman who played Jason. We kind of know what's going to happen. I mean, but it didn't quite happen the way we thought. But, obviously you assume that the doppelganger is just going to break the guy's arm, right? I love the fact that the doppelganger gets up in an elevator and Ray like pulls out a gun, and the boss is like, "Put away the gun, Ray." And I'm thinking, yeah, Ray, put away the gun. I mean, the last time you shot him, it didn't quite work out. And do you want all those like woodsmen showing up out of nowhere in your farm? I don't think you want to. Put the gun away, Ray. But I love the arm wrestling scene. At first I was thinking, oh my God, is this going to be like David Lynch directs Over the Top? But it wasn't. It was great because they're like in this arm wrestling match, and then they're like this, and then they're like this, and then the doppelganger's like, "This is more comfortable." Great scene. Absolutely just nailed it. Derek Mears, Kyle MacLachlan, they're nailing every single moment in this thing. Then the doppelganger just kind of gets fed up and just kind of breaks his arm and then punches him so hard in the face, he like knocks his nose right into his face, his brain or something. So Derek Mears is out. All of a sudden, all the bad guys around there are like throwing cell phones to him because he's like, "Give me your cell phones." So now he's armed to the teeth with cell phones. And Ray like does like the worst dive ever to get away from a gunshot, and he gets obviously shot. And then I love the fact that like the doppelganger looks up and there's like this accountant for the gang there, and he's like, "Do you need any money?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, bye." So fantastic. So Ray confesses to the doppelganger that Philip Jeffries actually hired him, or a man he thinks is Philip Jeffries. We don't have confirmed facts yet. That perhaps Philip Jeffries hired Ray to kill a doppelganger. The doppelganger, of course, asks if he knows anything about Major Briggs, and Ray doesn't quite answer that. But he does confess that somebody in the prison gave Ray this Alcave ring. Now, from evidence we see later in the episode, I'm going to assume right now, until we are told differently, that Mike, obviously the one-armed man, probably is the one that handed it to Ray, because we see him handling the ring later in the Black Lodge. Could be wrong, but it just seems like who else is out there, you know, because I mean, even in Fire Walk With Me, the one-armed man had the ring and he was pointing it at Leland and Laura and all that. So the doppelganger has Ray put on the ring. Dun, dun, dun. And yeah, the doppelganger just plugs him. Plugs him in the head after he says Philip Jeffries is perhaps at this place called the Dutchman's, and the doppelganger's like, I already know where that is. But the cool, interesting thing that I didn't see coming is that Richard Horn is part of this gang. He's there in the farm. He's with all the other guys watching all this go down, and he is envious. He's admiring the doppelganger, and that's some scary stuff there. I don't know where that's going to happen. But after Ray is killed, the ring disappears, goes to the Black Lodge, and then Ray's soul, I guess, goes to the Black Lodge too. He was like bleeding on the floor of the Black Lodge. So I don't know who was in charge of mopping the Black Lodge, but someone's going to have to be called. Then we go to South Dakota, and the police there are just kind of hanging out and talking. Well, obviously all chaos is happening in the back room with like some female inmate trying to like get away and stuff. It's hilarious. They're just sitting there like, yeah. I mean, you just hear chaos happening. I love the fact that Lynch could convey such chaos off screen without having to show any of it. Just dialogue off camera. That's great. And then then their superior, or is it their superior? Maybe it's just another fellow cop of theirs. The guy from Anchorman, obviously. He shows up and he says, okay, we scanned Dougie's prints. You're not going to believe this. He's a missing FBI agent, which I mean, obviously we all knew. And he's also escaped prison from 2 days ago. And the other guys are like, what? Kind of like that girl in the last part, you know, what? Yeah, so curious to see where that's going to go. But then Tom Sizemore, or Anthony, shows up at the police station and wants to go see this guy, Detective Clark. He wants to purchase some poison to kill Dougie. Police officer says, okay, great, $5,000. And yeah, so Sizemore's like, okay, I'll do it. And the moment he leaves, the police investigators are kind of like, we're going to have to call Mr. Todd. So, for Anthony. So whatever happens to him at the end of this episode, now Mr. Todd's going to know about this, and knowing that he's like going through probably improper channels to take care of Dougie, and that's going to upset Mr. Todd, and it's not going to be good. All right, then we cut to Hutch and Chantel. Chantel's still eating chips. My goodness, this woman never stops eating these chips. And they have this kind of like funny conversation about what Mormons can and can't do, and what they do before marriage and after marriage. It's really cute. And they're on their way to Vegas. So see who I don't know who they're after, but we'll find out eventually. All right, then we cut to Doug. Oh yeah, Dougie arrives at work. Janie E drives him there, and just kind of, she's all happy. She's got her new car, and she lets Dougie out, and Dougie just walks straight into the glass door. It's one of the funniest moments, actually. I hate to laugh at Dougie's misfortune, but it is just kind of funny watching someone just bop their head on something. But I thought it was cute. And Anthony, of course, is there waiting for him, and they decide to go to coffee, or Sizemore decides to take Dougie for coffee. I shouldn't say they decided to go. And my wife noticed, she's like, what coffee shop today still serves coffee in mugs? Well, obviously this one does. But I thought it was cute. And then Dougie, of course, sees the business where the pies were from the couple parts ago. And he goes over there, and of course he wants some more cherry pie. And while he's doing that, Sizemore is like throwing the poison in the cup. And it doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for Dougie. But he comes back and just starts seeing all this, like, I don't know. At first I thought, did Sizemore get some of the poison on his back? But he didn't. It's just like, just dust and lint or whatever, and Dougie starts kind of playing with Sizemore's shoulders, and it looks like he's kind of giving him a massage, and Sizemore starts like breaking down, and he just can't handle it. This he's trying to kill this guy, and Dougie's so nice to him, so he's thinking, oh, how can I do this? I can't do this. So Sizemore just completely starts breaking down, and takes the cup of coffee, runs to the bathroom, throws it in the urinal. And this begins Sizemore's complete change. Like, he's so ready to have whatever comes to him. I'm assuming he doesn't want to do prison time, but he's trying to do anything he can to just make amends. He just can't do it. He doesn't have the stomach for it. He's saying he's throwing up blood. It doesn't look good. But he is trying to make amends. He does not want to hurt Dougie anymore, and he realizes the error of his ways. Chances are, though, it's not going to be a good out. I won't be surprised if he doesn't die in the next episode. Then we cut to the Double R. Beautiful, beautiful shot with like this kind of like this a storm coming in. There's been a storm in this town for a while, apparently, but this rolling storm coming in, absolutely beautiful. Becky calls Shelly. Steven hasn't been home in 2 days. Becky's like, what should I do? And Shelly's like, why don't you just come down here, get some pie, some ice cream, some whipped cream. My wife's like, I'll be there right now. I was like, I bet you will. But I was surprised by the soda machines there. I was like, oh my goodness, there's soda machines. There was like a lemonade thing and a Sprite and a Coke. So it made me laugh. And then we cut to Bushnell's office, and Anthony's there confessing everything to Bushnell. And I thought this was a spectacular scene. This is a wonderful, wonderful, just perfect scene. I love Sizemore is just killing it. Don Murray's just killing it too, obviously, as Bushnell. And I thought their interaction was great and punctuated with just the perfect humor of Kyle MacLachlan as Dougie, where Dougie's just like, them too. And Anthony's just like, Dougie saved my life. You saved my life. My wife is getting so embarrassed though. She's like, I can't handle people having like just personal nervous breakdowns on camera. But it just goes to show you how talented Tom Sizemore is. And much like Matthew Lillard's breakdown, I hope that this gets Sizemore some more work. I think all these actors deserve just to get a lot more work in film and television than they have gotten in a while. All right, then we cut back to the Double R, and Bobby's there, and I'm like, oh, are we gonna get a Bobby Shelley Double R scene? Not quite, but we do get Big Ed and Norma at the Double R, which is great. Bobby walks up to them. Norma is in a booth again doing paperwork, although tonight we actually get a reason for it. What stood out to me was Bobby says, we got some stuff from my dad left for us today. So what are they referring to? What is he referring to? He's referring to the thing from the chair. Is he referring to, trying to think, because this isn't the same day that they went to visit Bobby's mom. So again, are we jumping in time? Is this before? I don't know. Because that just stood out to me today. And then we find out it looks like that Big Ed and Norma are not together. Again, Lynch just ripping the heartstrings out of me, man. It's just it's so sad. First we find out Bobby and Shelley aren't together. Now we find out definitely Ed and Norma aren't together. And Ed and Nadine probably aren't together either, which is fine. I'm fine with that, but it makes me so sad because remember towards the end of season 2 when Ed just walks into the Double R and sweeps Norma off her feet, and he's just like, will you marry me? And it was so wonderful. And then when Nadine woke up from her head trip at the end, it was very sad. But I assume maybe 25 years later they'd be together. Maybe one of the couples would have made it, but apparently not. This guy Walter shows up, who is Norma's business partner and kind of a romantic interest, I guess. Am I wrong that this guy he looks like the guy from 8 is Enough, like growing up. I could be wrong about that, but knowing Lynch's affection for using old TV stars and reusing them, I wouldn't be surprised. We find out here the Double R is not turning a profit, but there are franchises that are using Norma's recipes, but kind of tweaking where they're getting the ingredients. So this explains why Peggy Lipton said in a tweet that the pie, cherry pie, that Cooper is eating in Vegas is one of Norma's pies. But the reason probably why that it's not waking up Cooper is because they're not using the same ingredients that Norma is using. Aha. So Walter wants her to rename the place Norma's Double R, and that didn't sound too bad. I don't know. I mean, she's like, it's always been the Double R Diner for 50 years. But Norma's Double R Diner, it's one more word. I mean, maybe if it was like some crazy name or something like that, I can understand that. But Norma's Double R Diner, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't already called that. But yeah, super sad. Ed's like watching her from afar, and oh, I'm so sad. Everett Miguel knows how to play longing. He knows how to just do it. All right, so then Nadine's there in her Run Silent, Run Drapes store, and the doorbell rings, and it just keeps ringing, much like that car horn from 2 episodes ago. And it's Dr. Jacoby, or Dr. Amp, and she proudly shows him the window display and the shovel, and she's like, I'm one of your best foot soldiers. No, make that shovelers. That was kind of cute. And then he talks about like, hey, I haven't seen you in 7 years. Last time I saw you, you were in the grocery store on your hands and knees looking for a potato you dropped. It's so weird, so bizarre, but it's great seeing these two actors actually interact. So much of this new series has been watching all these actors in scenes that are isolated from each other. So I love it when we actually see the actors in a scene together. Then we cut to Laura's mom watching this like 1950s boxing thing. This goes back to the Between Two Worlds, where she was telling David Lynch that she would sit at home and watch sports a lot. Yeah, I mean, she gets up, gets another bottle. You can see, I mean, she is smoking more than she ever smoked in the original series and Firewalk with Me. If you look at the ashtrays, I mean, it's insane how many cigarettes are there. But I did notice in the background they still have the picture up there of Laura and Donna, the Lara Flynn Boyle picture. So that's interesting in the background. And we keep hearing the TV throwing out static, and it says is on the subtitles. It says static sputtering. So there's some sort of weird energy coming along. It's very poltergeisty in that house right now. All right, then we cut to Audrey in another scene with Charlie, and I have to say that this scene is 30 times, 50 times, 100 times better than the one that was from last week. This one actually was interesting. It actually was moving the story along. Yes, it does make the previous scene better, but I would say just as a scene unto itself, I think it was fine. It was great. I loved her line where Sherilyn says, I'm not sure of who I am, but I am not me. Whew. That line has implications that could mean anything. And right now it's truly kind of terrifying to think about what those implications are for her. I did love the fact that she mentioned Ghostwood. So she's like, it's like Ghostwood. I'm like, what does that mean? What happened at Ghostwood? Yeah, it's there's definitely more story there, Charlie. I'll tell you that much. And then we get the moment where I know some of you are probably like, oh my God, it was awful. I thought it was great. And if you've been following this podcast for a while, you know that we thought it was great. And I can't wait to hear James on his podcast talk about this, because the fact that James Hurley is performing at the Roadhouse, and not just any new song. No, it's a retro. It's just you and I. And I love the fact that Renee is there watching. So, oh my goodness, we're getting a connection back from part 2 here. And she's crying and listening to him, but she's talking to someone at her table. We don't know who, we don't see who, but she just can't take her eyes off James Hurley. And she's just, crying. And I thought it was a beautiful scene. And I love the fact that James has the 2 backup singers kind of mirroring Donna and Madeline on stage with him. If there was one thing I wish happened, and again, I'm not saying this is a bad thing or not, they didn't do this, but I wish, because the last time he performed this song, obviously the one we saw was with Donna and Mandolin. This would have been a perfect opportunity to show moments of past experiences with Donna, Laura, or whatever. Even just using unused footage or show footage from the previous 2 seasons, I think that would have been really a nice touch. But I think they don't want to remind us that he had these love affairs with Laura and Donna. They're trying to make this James and Renee thing happen. But if you notice, she had this as a tattoo. I don't know if it's actually Jessica Soar's real tattoo or if this is a thing for Renee, but there's the numbers on her arm, 7663. So I don't know what all that's about, but maybe one of you guys will know. And then when James finishes this song, which I loved, I think it's pretty much just kind of like a replay of the song from season 2, episode 2. But then when they cut to the audience, much like when the bands are there, like the Chromatics and Au Revoir Simone, the audience shot, it's the same audience shot from part 2. Which I thought was really interesting. Like, so now we're repeating audience shots. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just like, we only had so much footage and so we had to make it work, or whether they're trying to say that the night that James performed was the same night he was there with Renee there from part 2. I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out. And then the episode concludes with Ed sitting alone at Big Ed's gas farm, and very poignant moment there. It's great to see Everett McGill, and in the background or on the soundtrack you hear a motorcycle pulling up, and at first I was thinking, wow, is James like still like riding his bike up to Big Ed's going, can't do it, but no, there's nobody there. So Ed is like hearing ghosts of the past or something like that. And of course, my wife notices that Big Ed's gas farm reminds her of the convenience store location that we saw in part 8, Got a Light. But yeah, seeing Big Ed just sitting there alone, super sad. But it's so wonderful seeing Everett McGill again. And we've been wanting to see him for so long. And I thought that he did a great job. I mean, he wasn't given a lot to do in this episode, but he's able to convey so much with so little. And yeah. So yeah, I thought this episode was fantastic. I can't wait to discuss it with all of you guys with the Twin Peaks Thought of the Day videos and the watch along coming up this week. I thought it was wonderful. And so yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to like these videos and share them. And if you are not subscribed to this main channel, please do so. I'm about 500 or so subscribers away from hitting 3,000. And it would be incredible to hit that before, the end of the series. So, all right, guys, you guys take it easy, and I will see you soon. Bye.